hello. Welcome into another episode of the Dork Side of the Ring podcast. I'm your host. I'm your purveyor of all things dorky within the scope of professional wrestling and sports entertainment. I am Grumm. It is good to have you. Welcome in. Long time, first time, in between time. Good to have you. We got the trip around the calendar. We've completed a calendar. You go, well, I mean, not really, because the calendar starts in January, but you know what I mean. If you took every episode, you start listening to every episode at the beginning of January, one a week. By the end of the year, you'll have that episode for calendar year. Anyways, episode 52. It's a big one. I had to go and get some big time guests. We got from the Trill Withers show, from the internet, from many things. We've got Trill Withers, TylerIAm, and SexualJumanji, the most crucified on, and it is a big episode. Normally, I just want to go into like how we do these things, because if you're new here, glad to have you. Welcome in. Follow me on Twitter. I am Grumm. Instagram, same one, at Dork Side Ring. Twitter, Instagram, Grumm.tv, all that stuff. I'll plug that stuff again later. But the inner workings, I normally have my friends on these podcasts, people I talk to regularly, people I have interacted with, I've made other content with. Maybe they're on Twitch or maybe they do other things and I'm on their podcast. I have other people who I regularly interact with on this podcast. So it's nothing to be like, hey, you trying to come on my podcast? Like, hey, I'd love to have you on my podcast. Hey, would you be so kindly to join the podcast? And nearly everyone has said yes and whatnot. The reason I bring this up is this is the first time I'm not like friends with TylerIAm and SexJ. I am in their communities. I am, I'm active in the Trill Withers chat, shit like this, right? I was big time nervous to ask them to come on. I didn't think that they would say no, right? It wasn't a nervous like, oh no, I hope they say yes. It was more of like, I don't have the type of relationship that I normally have with my guests to ask them to come on, right? And there wasn't like, I just had to ask them. Like, it's just one of those things, like I just had to, shoot the shot, right? 9 times out of 10, in my experience, it works. The 10th time is normally asking somebody well out of my league and I don't interact with at all what they doing. And it's, yeah. So the 10th time, probably deserved that I don't hit. But the worst thing they could have said was no. And they didn't say no. They said, yeah. They came on. They had a good time. We talked about the Hollywood Backlot Brawl between Roddy Piper and Goldust. It was a lot of fun. It was the scrap plans for both individuals. We get into that. We get into what the original plans for both Roddy Piper and Goldust at Wrestlemania 12 were. We talk about, actors who are athletes. Athletes, actors, it's just like, it's good stuff. Like, it was a fun episode. It was worth it. I'm glad to have them on. This past weekend, I believe. As I'm recording this, it's the week before, so it hasn't happened yet. But Forbidden Door, I believe, it happened this past weekend. It did happen. I don't know why I said I believe. A lot of fun. I'm excited to watch it. Unfortunately, it's on a Sunday, though. Like, it sucks, man. Like, that thing's going to be... Hopefully, it's just a standard 3-hour pay-per-view. And it's not like, a 17-hour marathon. But if it is a 17-hour marathon, I'm probably going to watch most of it because I'm a sicko. Wrestling's in a great place. We got Money in the Bank is the July 2nd, so it's the Saturday following this episode. A lot of fun. I'm big time excited for it. SummerSlam at the end of July is going to be a big time event. We got Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns in a last man standing match. I'm excited for that. I know the wrestling world not so much because we got it again. I'm like, man, if it's good, it's good. You just watch big meaty men slapping meat. Word to Big E, who is, feeling. I wish if this gets to Big E's wonderful years, hope the recovery is going good, and can't wait to once again witness you on my television screen. But yeah, I got wrestling's fun. A TNA Slammiversary was this past weekend as I was recording this, the 19th, Father's Day, Juneteenth. It was a celebration of their 20 years as a company. Big time fun. Wrestling is in such a just a fun place to enjoy. There's something for you, and if you don't enjoy it, then you don't have to say anything. You can say things. You can be critical of things. It is right to be critical of things. It is, it's very. I talk about it all the time. Wrestling is a horrid sport. That it is toxic and bad to its core. But man, there's a lot of good stuff that happens and good people that you get to meet because of it, and that's tough. Yeah, I'll just save the plugs for the middle of the show like normal, and more after. So let's get to it. Myself, SexJ, TylerIAm, the Trill Withers Show, X Dork Side crossover event that myself and others have been waiting for. It is here. It is here. The three of us talking about the Hollywood Backlot Brawl here on the Dork Side of the Ring podcast.
Dude, I'm about to wear suspenders. I'm about to get some. I'm gonna look really cool. I'm telling you.
You can be in misery for 3 hours. this is pulling my own pants up through my asshole.
Look, you wear jeans on stream all summer for no reason.
Could get away with not wearing any pants and then deciding to wear suspenders and jeans. I mean, no one's gonna you could attach to the back of your chair, really, and no one's gonna.
It's true.
And it would just look like you're wearing suspenders, and then no one would know the difference because you're just like, I'm wearing suspenders. You pull the suspenders out when well, I'm a little hot today. I hit on my slip.
I do declare.
I do
declare.
I do declare I hit on a slip or two. So for the effect of it. But yeah, I've hit record, so I want to give you two heads up, obviously. So everything from here is recorded and chronicled in the histories and the annals of time to be documented by whoever ever chooses to actively listen to it, be it human or alien. If it is alien, thank you for taking care of business when we needed you. Appreciate it. Just like aliens in 4 sweep. I think aliens sweep us in 4.
Oh, by 4. Like if our alien overlords are listening now, I come in peace, and if you say the word, I will sacrifice these two. I will bow.
Hey man, come on.
I will bow to. No, you weren't supposed to hear that. I will bow to your mercy.
I was already plotting against them. Jeez. All right, good to know I don't have you on my side.
Let's go. Aliens in 4.
Aliens in 4. We just asked. I don't have a chat to ask and then not listen to, but yeah, aliens in 4.
It is sick.
Look, I understand. I too would sacrifice people if the aliens overlords so choose to spare me. I've done it before. I've done it before. Not literally, but
okay.
But figuratively sacrificed people for my own survival. Actually, in your Discord,
healthy boundaries guy over here. Okay.
In your Discord, Tyler, I have thrown many. It was a particular December night where many friends of ours were supposed to get superpowers.
Oh yeah,
and I was throwing every white under the bus I could.
Look, that's as well you should. You a smart guy, Grumm.
I made sure. I might have photoshopped Broads' face on a particular content creator and a particular.
Hey, but maybe you did. Maybe you didn't know. Maybe you didn't. Yeah, who's really to say?
This is true. We're here on the Dork Side of the Ring. We are here celebrating the 52nd episode, a full calendar's worth of Dork Side with 2/3 of the Trill Withers Show. We've got Trill Withers himself, TylerIAm, and the most crucified among us all, SexualJumanji. Welcome.
Yo.
What's up, gang? Happy to be here.
Glad to have you. This is a big deal for me and the listeners because all of them, I've said the goal was to get you, Trill, on here for the year celebration, and getting SexJ, getting Scoob here is a big bonus. That's like the Super Bowl performance bonus here. is like, yeah, I'm cashing out. I'm getting them both 2-for-1
Yeah,
deal.
Scoob is Lady Gaga.
It's like when someone jumps out of the crowd and storms the ring, but I'm part of the show, you know.
Yeah, you're not getting your ass whooped by a referee.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, dude, that clip is so good.
It's always, whenever it gets thrown out there, it is always fun to see Steve Austin going like, "I wish I could join in, but I'm the good guy, so I can't do anything. I really wish I could though." But yeah, no, getting stomped out by the referee might be one of the worst looks in wrestling for fans. But it is good to have you, both of you. We normally start with some introductions, and we do it alphabetically because as the letters are naturally occurring, they don't have a preference of order. They just are in order. So we're going to start with SexJ. Tell the people a little bit about yourself, where they can find you, and all the fun stuff you'd like to, tidbits and whatnot.
Yeah. So I'm SexJ, Scoob. I got so many nicknames at this point. I've lost. People call me stuff, and I'm like, all right. I trust I've been called that at some point. You know.
I think you mean that well. Okay.
Right. So I'm most crucified on Twitter. SexualJumanji on Twitch, and co-pilot of the Trill Withers show on YouTube. Man of many hats, but having a great time. You know.
Incredible hats too. I've seen them with my own eyes.
Tremendous
That's
hats.
true. It's a plethora of hats. Too many hats, even.
A lot of hats.
A lot of hats. That's 365 hats. Is maybe 300 a leap day special hat, but other than that, I don't think you need more.
Nah.
But yeah, man of many hats. Glad to have you. On the other side of the virtual table, man himself, Trokey Withers, Trokey Baseball.
It's
Withers.
me. No, I think I'm. Yeah, it's me, Bip Roberts. I'm just going to start going by that. You can find me at Bip Roberts. That's BIP Roberts 11. I
just 2 numbers.
Tweet often. Tweet often and daily.
TylerIAm.
It's me. Yes.
It is you. A little bit about yourself and whatnot. Not just Bip Rogers, but that is an incredible pseudonym, Bip Rogers.
I think that's like legit. I'll never check into a hotel name. Like it's just going to be Robert, the Roberts estate, please. Yes. Are you Bip? Yes, I am him. Yeah,
that's me. Yes. Shh. Don't tell anybody.
Yes. Don't tell anyone that Bip Roberts is here.
But yes, TylerIAm, the Trill Withers of the Trill Withers show, and many more infamous tweets. If you've been emotionally terrorized by somebody, it's most likely Tyler.
Probably so. I apologize in advance, and also you're welcome.
Myself, Tyler wished me a happy birthday in 2020 with a bat and its legs up in a soup bowl, saying "Put your big legs up, big boy." So that was a nice birthday for me.
I don't recall these allegations.
Months before a bat-induced pandemic. Makes you think. But as we are to do here on the Dork Side of the Ring, I like to ask my guests, especially their first time on, their experiences with professional wrestling and sports entertainment. So, Tyler, we'll start with you. What is your experience with professional wrestling and sports entertainment?
Just as a fan, I guess I have to say that, like, I didn't used to wrestle, not WWF at least, but watched it. At the time, it didn't feel like religiously. You know what I mean? It just felt like you just watched it. But I have an uncle that is 6 years older than me. So like similar interests, all that. He was on it first, so that's how I was on it. Okay. So the action figures, the magazines, the videos, the any movie like Hulk Hogan was in. And there was a lot. A lot.
Suburban Commando.
And Suburban Commando too. But like watched all that until I got, old enough to like start like set my own schedule. It's like, okay, Monday Night Nitro's about to come on. Monday Night Raw's about to come on. Thursday SmackDown. And I was in the field there until Test married Stephanie McMahon. That is the exact.
That's it.
That is the pinpoint moment. I said, Scoob, this is not the wrestling that I signed up for.
Man.
Again, you gotta understand, because my uncle's older than me. Like Like the wrestlers that I remember is like I shouldn't remember that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Doink the Clown. I should remember Doink the Clown.
No.
Kamala the Ugandan Giant.
No.
But I remember all the Road Warriors because I was socialized like older than me, and so I was like, I came in on that, and this sir is not that.
That's why, because that's one of the more like iconic moments on like Raw, because he doesn't like Test and Stephanie don't marry like.
Yeah,
he didn't get to the end of the storyline. He stopped.
Was out. No,
He
turned
saw
off
the-
my TV. Went to bed.
He saw Andrew Test Martin in a tux and said, "I'm out." No, thank you.
Corsage? What's this about?
But it's just like that's one of the weird ones of like Triple H drugged Stephanie McMahon the night before to marry her. Like it's you know.
There was a hazy period, and looking back, like just the things I hear and see, it's like you don't remember that storyline, and it's like I think I got it like literally right before some of the wild stuff. I think I might have abandoned ship at a relatively decent time, considering.
Yeah.
I think you did it at the worst time, personally.
Really?
You missed out on like the golden era of wrestling when they were
I
just
missed
like,
the wedding?
yeah, we'll do whatever.
Yeah.
But listen, I feel like I saw Mick Foley go through the cage, go through a cage onto a bed of tacks 3 times a week. School for like 6 months straight.
That was
I saw the Hardy brothers when they was Hardy legit boys, legit children.
Yeah,
now they 50.
Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately that they're 50.
I was gonna say,
but,
fortunately, man.
Fortunately,
Fortunately.
it's unfortunate they're still going at 50 somehow. Like, I guess it's also still fortunately in a sense. It's like all the stuff that they've done, you'd think, they wouldn't be able to do it. But yeah, I think I wouldn't say you got out at the wrong time, but you might have also gotten out at the right time, given everything that happened afterwards. I think you got out before the Mae Young gave birth to a hand. I think that was just... No,
I was there for that.
Oh, you were there.
That was one of those. I was like, you know what? This isn't really the Booker T, Harlem Heat, Scott Steiner, Macho Man set. This isn't really what I signed up for. I think I just pulled the chain. Like, this is my stop. I'm like, sir, this is not an exit. This is my exit. I'll figure it out.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. That was I had it backwards. I had one in 99, one in 98, and it was the other way around. What about you, Scoob? Your experiences with professional wrestling and sports entertainment?
So I was always into it. Like as a kid, my dad was super into it. I think there's like a period when I was a kid where my dad thought he was like Scott Hall. Like he had the ponytail. He would like do the toothpicks. He would do all that stuff. And like I genuinely, he thought that he would always try to be Scott Steiner. So like, my dad was always super into it. And I'll always remember I went to SmackDown one time, but it was like as an adult. I never went as a kid. And I went with a friend from college, high school, and when Summer Rae walked out, he yelled, "Summer Rae!" And so it was so loud, it like stopped her dead in her tracks, and she like looked around. And on the TV broadcast, you could like hear him and see her be like, "What the fuck?"
She wasn't used to a voice that much bass in it.
She wasn't. It was super. It was booming. It was
love
booming.
to just hear someone yell your name at the top of their lungs.
It was great. I got blocked by Michael Cole and JBL that night. I sent a picture of the back of their head, and I said I'm coming down there, and they both blocked me. I got blocked during the show.
That's a threat, man. That's literally a terroristic threat. Grumm, back me up.
Yeah, no, like I mean, look, we were just talking about people jumping the barricade and getting stomped out by the referee. You should consider yourself lucky you only got blocked. They might have had the timekeeper use the bell on you if you came anywhere near him.
Taz threatened me once. I mean,
what did he say?
I was tweeting at Taz asking for a match when he was on TNA for like a super long time. And then one time EC3 he was an old other wrestler. He did a Ask Me Anything. And I was like, hey, can you ask Taz? I'm asking you to ask Taz to give me my match. He tagged Taz, and Taz goes, yeah, meet me on the schoolyard anytime, punk. And then he blocked me. So
Nah, you got you.
Look,
yeah, he did get me.
He's scared of you, because he knows you're taller than him. He felt the energy that only a man who is 5'8" could feel via the internet from a not 5'8" but taller person. Like
he would probably lift me around and carry me like a suitcase.
He might, but he'd
It'd be
look
a
very.
cartoon, man. He just wallop you a little bit from side to side.
He would look like an ant doing it because he is small. He's like 5'5", not 5'5". He's like 5'6", 5'7" now because he's been dropped on his head so much that he's definitely like he was built at like 5'9", 5'10", but you see him next to like Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels looking at him like Kareem standing next to you, Tyler. It's like, yeah, all right, I got you're at my chest, like, okay. I think
he's had them holes though. Taz has them holes.
That he did.
He twitched your ankle off.
But here's the thing: if he had nunchucks, do you think Scoop could take him?
Dude,
I'm going Taz in the chucks.
I've learned my lesson. I wouldn't take Taz anymore.
So it's the Taz portion of it.
Okay. It makes it more realistic for Sex J to win, but ultimately there's still no chance. Like, it's Taz, obviously.
And if he uses a weapon on me, he gets disqualified. I'm not agreeing to a weapons match, so I'll take the dub any means. If I gotta take a bump from a nunchuck, I'll take it. I get the dub end of the year.
That's
known fair guy, known by the book.
Yeah,
guy, Taz.
Rule follower and law and order Taz. But all right, okay, so. I know you follow AEW a little bit, Sex J. You've talked about it on the Trill Wither show, which you can find on YouTube from 12 to 3 p.m. EST. That's at the Trill Wither show, presented by Underdog Fantasy. But do you follow you don't follow WWE that closely anymore?
No, not really. I'm kind of into it because I'm in a DM with some people and they talk about it, so I'm always aware of it, but I don't watch it,
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people. I mean, I watch it, but I'm a sicko. I watch a lot of wrestling.
True.
And I have a podcast about the dorkier stuff in pro wrestling. But even I sometimes nowadays it's I'll catch it. I'll see what happened on Twitter. And I'll watch it if it was that good. But I'll watch the pay-per-views and live stuff, which I feel like there's that kind of sentiment around the NBA the last year and a half. And I don't know if it's because the bubble kind of threw everybody off their schedule for basketball, because we're watching basketball after Labor Day. You're it's supposed to be football and basketball's on now at the end, and then it's going to be so. It's just kind of this. I'll follow basketball tangentially. I'll keep track of everything, but I mean their ratings have gone up, which makes that just feel like it's an NBA a Twitter thing. But I feel like a lot of people aren't living and dying night by night with the league overall on Twitter, but it's more of the people who cover the sport don't enjoy it, and they find ways to report about it without being enthusiastic about it, and it's kind of damn, where's the juice? And I feel
no, it's great. I love it. I love following the sport where the people that cover it have clear disdain for it, and the people that play it. So I'm gonna have to push back.
All right, well, you know what? I'm in. You know what? I'll be the guy. I'll be the one if the world is against.
They hated him because he told the truth.
It's me, the pariah. But no, WWE, I talk up WWE amongst friends because it's still good. I mean, it's not as good as it used to be by any stretch of the measure, but in a vacuum, I'm watching people who are big athletes do big people things when my options are to watch people not do, like John Oliver explained it best. When you can advertise that somebody exploded through a table, like nothing can top like that description on television.
I'm tuning in.
You know, so going along with that, kind of actually more so, you brought up watching like Hulk Hogan's movies and everything Hulk Hogan, including the movies earlier, Tyler. What would you guys say is the best athlete to movie? Like, or to like movie star, like who, Kareem was in Airplanes, you had Michael Jordan in Space Jam, LeBron, not in his Space Jam, but in other movies. Like
he was in a Space Jam.
He was, a Space Jam.
Not these.
No. But he was in Trainwreck, apparently being LeBron James, and that was good for him.
I was about to call it Shipwreck.
I knew it was.
I was like, I don't think that's right, school.
No. But then obviously you have like your other wrestlers turn movie stars. But in your estimation, we'll start with you, Scoop. Like your answer, now that I've talked a little bit to give you some time, best athlete to movie like jump. Like which athlete has had the best quality movies? I guess is probably the better question.
I gotta say The Rock, dude. The Rock has hits like Southland Tales, one of my favorite movies. I don't. He's
Walk Tall.
Yeah, Walk Tall. His newer stuff, it's like blockbuster kind of sellout stuff, but like back in the day when he was just starting and took like whatever role was offered, he was putting out some good shit.
Big fan of the Tooth Fairy.
Yes, dude. He used to act. Now
that guy's gonna be the president one day. That is so wild.
For sure. Almost guaranteed at this point.
There's a lot.
He was gonna run, and then he got cold feet and said, I'll sit off this year. I got more movies to make. I can still make a bajillion dollars with by making, CGI filled movies, and unfortunately he's not gonna be in the last Fast movie because Vin Diesel fumbled that and did not like understand that The Rock made those middle Fast movies enjoyable because he's The Rock and he gets to tackle a concrete pillar to the ground and drive an ambulance off of
he gets to do whatever he wants, man. The Rock.
Yeah, right. He got to shoot a bag of grenades at a helicopter and blow it up. Like, The Rock gets to do cool things.
You've seen Walk Tall, haven't you, Grumm?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Where he's just keeping the land, the law of the land straight in casinos with a giant 2x4. Him and Johnny Knoxville. This is a real movie for people who haven't. I'm not making up any of this. The Rock gets to do whatever he wants,
and he breaks people. And much like a officer of the law may do. He gave some people some trouble. He investigated. He kept everything going strong. That walking tall man, I forget. I don't even know what his character's name in the movie is.
Biff Roberts. I don't know.
When Johnny Knoxville is your sheriff, your deputy, like you can't go wrong. Like you absolutely can't. And that's maybe his second best co-star. Like his first one, Sean William Scott in The Rundown, where he has to chase down
so many movies. It's got to be The Rock.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Rock is. John Cena has been in some good ones. There's one of his newer ones, like Vacation Friends. I'm sure you, Mr. Movie Watcher, Tyler, have seen it.
Many times, yes.
It's very good, right? Like he the role he plays is great.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I wept.
You wept. It really did pull at your heartstrings. The very emotional scenes.
The ending. I won't say too much, but the ending. Wow.
Say no more. Say no more. The Rock's there. I don't know. I was trying to think of like other ones. Like I had like a list of names that I was like, all right, well, if they pick like two different ones, who's the third I want to pick? It's like
I got an older school one.
All right, go ahead.
Carl Weathers.
Carl
Weathers is one of anybody that if you were an athlete a long time ago, we just kind of just don't acknowledge you play ball at all.
Yep.
So it's just Carl. Hey, Rocky, Happy Gilmore, it's Carl Weathers. He's like, I used to be a professional football player, you know. It's like, yeah. Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, I have a trading card here with like that's actually me. This isn't a role I played. That's actually me.
Yeah, no, that's me, Carl. I'm Carl.
Nah, that's you playing Carl Weathers, the linebacker. So, you know, surely that's you. Like just like you're playing, you know, Apollo Creed. It's a different role. It's like no.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I saw that tweet. I think it was today, or maybe it was the other day. And that, you know, Carl Weathers went in the list. I'm like, I'm going to pull this, but, you know, you guys are internet savvy, unlike some of my other guests where I'm just like, yeah, like, yeah, I saw this tweet. And they're like, no way, you saw a tweet. And I'm like, yeah. Like, y'all, like, you guys did.
I just played down. What's that? What you mean?
Well, it's a message that somebody sent over an internet website and app.
I don't read email, bro.
It's not an email. It's like instantaneous, you know. It's like AIM, but like everybody can do it, and it's awful, you know. Like no one is happy. AIM was great. Everybody liked going. You could go into random chat rooms, and everybody knew.
AIM was great. It was so dangerous.
Incredibly dangerous.
Love hopping in the New York City just cooling chat. Like, hey, I'm a cool guy. I am 28 years old. I am a male. And I live in New York City.
I got banned
the New York City part. Yeah.
Got banned for saying I was drinking a beer one time. My dad was pissed. I went to the garage crying. I was like, Dad, I got banned from the chat room. And he's like,
what chat were you in? The no beers chat?
I was in the teen chat. I was a teenager, so I was in the teen chat. And my dad was like, you did what? And he was like, you said you were having a beer. You weren't having a beer. And I was like, well, you know.
Now you gotta
have to know.
Now you gotta lie. You're like, no, I was just joking. I was just joshing him. I was pulling a joke, you know. I also told him that I was a millionaire.
I said it was Homer Simpson having the beer.
I said
they said I don't like this. Look at this banned.
That was back in the day when, like, you know, the images loaded line by line over the course of a day, and
it wasn't there.
No, they really were. Like it's fact that former WWE superstar Sunny was the most downloaded woman of the '90s, and it was all one photo, and it just was so happened that, like, I've showed pictures of Sunny to a lot of guests, and they're just like, meh, like, you know. She's whatever. And I'm like, yeah, by today's standards, where we're used to like women being hot and being sexy and embracing that, and that, you know,
like Bob Cousy numbers wouldn't equate.
No,
I
exactly, yeah. You know, but like in the '90s, like, you know, especially in wrestling, like women didn't have that kind of presentation. They were, if they were presented at all, was not like, oh look, I'm sexy, and then, you know, people then downloaded her photo line by line just to support her.
I actually have a WWE Divas story. This one's
okay.
It's a little creepy. It's from high school, middle school, high school. So I was at a friend's house one time, and he was like really into wrestling. He would like wear jean shorts, and like he would always listen to the Stone Cold Steve Austin entrance and pretend he was like walking out to it. And so one time we were on his computer in his computer room, and he pulled up the WWE Divas page, and he was like, "Hey, bro, I need you to leave the room for a sec." And I was like, "Why?" And he was like, just go watch TV for a bit. And I like when I watched TV, and then like a little while later, he walked out and was like, "All right, bro, let's whatever."
That's unhinged. That your friend is your friend in jail or on this, because that's where your friend.
You should have went home.
That is deviant behavior to be like, hey,
that is like.
He was smoking. He was smoking K2 all the time. I mean,
yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Nah, you should have been home. I wasn't. I'm scared for your safety, Scoob.
Yeah.
Even I know this in the past. I'm still scared.
Yeah, right. Like, you know, that is wild to be like, hey, man. Like, actively type in the Divas page. Like you're on the internet, you could go. They had.
You go anywhere you want,
then.
man.
We were like 17, like adults. Like we were like almost graduating high school.
Like that's. I feel like we're all in the same age group, so like that's old enough to where you could have been on your iPod. Like that could have just been between him. He just had put the headphones in the iPod Touch.
You could say I was taking a dump or something.
Yeah, like what? Go in the bathroom. Not make it so. I guess not just obvious, but like deranged.
Or don't be so devastatingly horny that you just need to just handle your issue right now.
He said
that's wild, man.
He said just. Like, be happy he told you to leave and not just turn around and ignore what you hear. Like, that would have been...
Yeah, true.
I didn't think you'd mind.
It was wild. I was like, holy shit, I couldn't believe it was happening.
That used to be the whole... Like, when I was growing up, that was the whole extent of the women's division of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from China, the legend China, who was, like, the only one, like, wrestling. But it felt like there was Sable and... Terry Runnels, Jacqueline. I used to stay up late to watch me some Jacqueline, but it was like that was the way you got on. That was like the only way. Trish Stratus, and it's like you had to present a certain one. There, you wasn't even gonna get a chance.
No,
otherwise,
no, because that's what they.
So it seems like that has changed, which feels like a good thing.
Yeah, it definitely has to the point where like WWE is pushing multiple women as like top end talent, and it's being received as it should, right? It's not like like boo, like oh they're not that good. No, they are that good, and they're getting treated like that, which is it sucks that it took 25 years after wrestling's biggest boom period for that to happen, but it is better than it not being a thing.
Right.
But I still can't get over it. It's like, hey, just shut the door.
Nah, that is
like you were just.
I would have told his parents, man.
What's worse, not being fed by a Swedish family when you're over their house, or being over somebody's house and they tell you to shut the door on their way out?
Nah, this is way worse. Way worse.
I went upstairs and his brother was like, "Where's my bro?" And I was like, "He's downstairs in the computer room." He was like, "Why?" And I was like, "I don't know, dude."
He was like, "Why you think he's down?"
You put two together, pal. I'm over here.
It's your brother. Yeah.
But yeah, I have one more question before we get to actually watching our topic. If staying in line with the movies, you get to fight one actor on the set of their movie while the camera is rolling, right? What actor are you, like? What's the biggest actor you're sure that you can have recorded footage of you kicking their ass?
Biggest stature or like biggest like blockbuster name wise?
Biggest name.
Oh, Tom Cruise.
I was gonna say Tom.
I was gonna say,
fuck.
Yeah, I had to get that quick. I feel like Tom. That might be too easy picking. I feel like everybody think they can whoop Tom.
Yeah, he's like old now, dude. I've seen the pictures. He's like an old man. You want to beat up an old man, dude?
Yeah,
that's
you damn straight. No,
look, you know what? Donald Glover. Give me Donald Glover. I'm gonna beat his ass.
Here's the
you want to beat up a retiring police veteran? You're canceled. Now who? Let me think.
I don't know if Tom Cruise. I saw him jump over Michael Keegan Key, and he's spry. I don't know. That might be.
He built for agility.
If you can catch him, you can.
That's the whole as I'm saying, you catch him out of the midair, and he's just at your mercy.
He's gonna hit you.
Hamilton a movie? Is Hamilton a movie? Because I've been wanting to fight Lin-Manuel Miranda.
All right.
Steiner recliner, no problem.
And just have him singing, and just be like, "Hey, keep singing. I'm gonna crush your."
You better be singing "Bloody Murder," boy.
Tom, you're gonna stay with Donald Glover?
Yep. I'm going with Donald Glover, and I'm doing CM Punk's move where he like jumps up and does the one knee. I'm doing that thing.
Oh, we get to pick. If we get to pick a move, I might. I think I gotta go. Lion Tamer.
Old school.
Lion tamer, just flip him over, and I just got Manuel Miranda. He's reaching for the ropes, Grumm. He thinks he's close, and I just take those 2 big steps, and he's just in the middle of hell.
Nope. That's it. You got to tap. Everybody knows.
I'll break them off. Tap or I'll break them off. Those are your options.
I will bring your legs back with me as a trophy, as if they were a deer head. I asked the question, and I couldn't think of like. I was thinking about it a lot today because I was like, all right, this is a good question because there's a list of actors we could just be like, yeah, I'm putting hands on them. I feel like it came to my mind while we were talking. I want to put Mel Gibson in the torture rack, like, and I want to and I want to hear him like cry in pain, because he's a brittle old man.
He'd be like, ah.
He's just shaking that hatred at him.
I want like the Lex Luger, like, putting not the soft one he did. I want the one where he's cranking it and he's making like your head touch your knee, like, like I want that one. That's the one I want.
I got in trouble for putting a friend in the torture rack in elementary school, and it was for that exact reason because I was like, no, like this, There's a torture rack and there's the Lex Luger torture rack. I wanted to do like you jumping up and down on a couch, and let's just say it ended with him in tears and one of us in the the principal's office. Oh
boy! As a kid, that might as well be the same thing. You're like,
I was gonna say that's why same thing. Feds got me.
And the thing was, he was trying. Like, what made it work was because he just did the flexing as like his regular like taunt pose thing. Like it just felt like he was trying to do it with somebody in between his arms and around his back, like on his shoulders. And to me, that just seemed like very, a sick individual would try that. To be like, I'm going to flex so hard that I'm going to snap your arm. And then when your body goes flying, I can still be flexing and people can see my delts and my traps and my biceps.
That's the beauty of the Steiner recliner.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Steiner recliner, you get a good grip. And it's really just Scott Steiner showing off. Like, he's about to pop your head clean off your body, but he's also gets to show off the guns.
I've been watching WCW before I go to sleep. I watch I put wrestling on for like white noise, and I've been going from the time Nitro started, 95, to I think I'm in like January of 2001, so almost at the end. But it's around the time where Scott Steiner is unhinged, deranged.
See, that's my peak. I think I was like all the way in all that era you just described. I think I was all the way in.
And he's just murdering everybody. Like he's taking out Sting, he's taking out Booker T, and they're like he's ridiculous. And I just watched Sid Vicious jump off from the top rope and snap his leg in two in the most disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
And like,
I remember that.
Right.
It's
and I'm
bad wrestling one, man.
Yeah. It's not, I mean, some have resulted in death and that have looked very normal. There's very famously Owen Hart falling from the ceiling. But just
oh man, I was all the way. I was like, not the Blue Blazer, brother. not him.
No, not him.
I remember the Chris Benoit night. That was so awkward.
It was
yeah.
Well, that first night they were just like trying to play it off normal.
It was like nobody knew.
Well, yeah. They didn't. They like. We've talked about
it wasn't public knowledge. Maybe I should say.
No, it didn't. It wasn't. They didn't release the information, like the evidence, like what the police found in the results of the investigation. That's what the phrase I was looking at. Until like 6 a.m. the morning after. Like it was very early, and it felt weird that it was that early. And it definitely feels like, in hindsight, that it was, hey, this is a high profile thing. Wrestling is terrible. Let's get at the wrestling industry. And get at Vince McMahon, whereas like normally something like that happens at a time where, 9, 10 o'clock, not like before everybody's waking up. Vince McMahon was up though. He's always up at 5 a.m. anyway, so he didn't get caught.
Vince McMahon does not sleep. There's no way Vince McMahon sleeps.
But yeah, they did the whole tribute, and everybody's talking nice about him. And the Dark Side episode did a very good job in the two-parters. talking
Or
about
Steven Regal.
he knew.
He knew.
And I mean, I understand why he still went on and talked about like, oh, hey, like, you know, it's a shame what happened to Nancy and Daniel, and you know, it's horrible what happened, and everybody's like, what's wrong with Steven Regal? Like, he just ignored Chris Benoit.
He also said, he's like, I think the thing you could say about Chris Benoit is that in the ring, he was the ultimate professional inside the ring. And everybody cuts to everybody else like tears. They're like, oh, you know, the man, such a good man. And Steven Regal was like, he was a good
wrestler.
Technician. Yeah, he was a good wrestler. R.I.P. to his wife.
CM Punk called him his hero. Like, that does not age at all great within the 24 hours of him saying that. And like it's just wild to think about, like, that whole thing. WWE just jumped the gun, and they're like, hey, one of our own died. And it wasn't the first time that they've done tribute shows for somebody who died while wrestling. Eddie Guerrero, that was one of the, you know, best ones. Owen Hart tribute, you know, they did as well. But like, you know, thankfully no one else has really died while active for WWE, so they haven't necessarily had to, you know, have a tribute.
That's part in the contracts now. Vince said never again.
You have to die 100 yards off company property.
And 100 days after the last contract.
Yeah, like, it's still, though, like, so WWE in 2001 held the first, like, public assembly following 9/11, and it was a super ultra patriotic show, but it also had, like, if it was not for Chris Benoit, Stephanie McMahon would have, like, the worst, like, sit-down tribute thing of all time, because, like, she just goes on this deranged, like, not just pro-American, but, like, xenophobic type thing, because it wasn't just, like, you know, oh, you know, Osama bin Laden did it. It's like, we have to, together as Americans, we have to fight the people who are behind this, you know, and make sure that we don't get caught, you know, and take people, you know, be fooled by the looks of people. And it's like, wait, what? Run that one back by me?
Excuse me?
You know? And then, like, they immediately go to, like, Bradshaw, who just gets like, I'm a Texan. You know, we got our boys in camouflage are over there, and they're gonna put a whooping on them, and that's gonna be for everybody who in the World Trade Center and Flight 93. Yeah, America. And it's like, what the fuck just happened today? Like, what?
I remember Howard Stern's co-host Robin. She was like, "We need to bomb everybody."
Jesus Christ!
It was, yeah. I mean, we think about how, like, Twitter gave everybody the ability to have bad takes in quick reaction. But, like, and man, those, like, the Chris Benoit thing is something that makes me think, like, if wrestling Twitter was around, how many people would have been like, nah, Chris didn't do it. Yeah, he was set up.
Oh, right.
You know, like, because there are people who thought that for a while, that
oh, definitely
he was set up by Nancy Benoit's ex-husband,
other son or other bro. I remember, like, all those theories. And also, do you think at the time they did the celebration, do you think the WWE knew what we would find out? I
don't think so at all. Like,
it's like, tough, man, because I don't want to give Vince McMahon, like, any benefit of any doubt. But it's like, if you in good faith knew that there even might be, like, hey, we don't know the full story, but it ain't pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Then I feel like you handle that tribute show differently than the way they handled it.
And it's weird because, like, they called for the wellness check. Like, they were like, hey, Chris didn't show up for either of the events, Friday or the Saturday before the pay-per-view, and he didn't show up to the pay-per-view on the Sunday, and everybody's like, whoa, this is weird. Hey, we should call the police station for a wellness check, because no one can get in a hold of him, and no one's answering the phone at home. And that's when they found out. So it's like, within 24, I think the match went on at like 11 o'clock, or not 11 o'clock, like 10 o'clock. It was like in the middle of the show, so less than 24 hours later, they're doing the tribute show. And there was a lot, you know, like I said, I recommend the Dark Side. I recommend it if it is something that you can stomach as a topic. It involves, you know,
murdering a child, spousal abuse.
It's heavy stuff,
is,
man.
It's a lot. It puts it in such a way where it's like, this was like, you can't separate the artist from the art. Like, Chris Benoit is very much who he was in the ring, was who he was outside the ring as well. And, you know, that's where I stand. Like, I can't separate the art from the artist in this case, because it's the same dude damn near. Like, everybody talks about he was intense in real life, and it's like, okay, yeah, in real life he also did this shit, and it wasn't
like when it comes out that he literally, like, his means of executing them was the wrestling moves that he used. It's like, come on, man, we still gonna separate the art from the artist? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, you know, it's just bad. It's bad. But
I agree.
What is boy, this is also a wild. You'll see why it's a wild transition, because what we're watching today is from the year 1996. We are watching Roddy Piper and Goldust fight each other in the Hollywood Backlot Brawl at WrestleMania 12. This match is big time because there's a lot going around this, where this match wasn't originally planned, and in multiple ways, both people were doing something different, and they kind of settled on Roddy versus Goldust, and we could talk a little bit about that afterwards. It happened over the course of the night. Basically, they started, within the first hour of the show, and they finished it at the end of the second hour. So it's a very long story. We're going to see the start of it, the middle part of it, which is a very notable part, and the end, which is even more notable because of how the match ends. So we're going to watch that. We'll be right back here on the Dork Side of the Ring podcast.
How's it going there, everybody? It is Dusty Rose here with a little bit of an advertisement on the Dork Side of the Ring break. We here at Dork Side of the Ring, we'll be doing this every week, Mondays every week. We also have a Patreon. You go to support.grumm.tv. You get these episodes early. You also get exclusive content such as watch along. So if you want to go and watch what we just done what they watching, Grumm and the other. You go to support.grumm.tv and you can get that. It might not be this week, it might be a little bit down the week, but there's plenty of stuff there for you. We got Crybaby match, we've got the Undertaker ascending. We got all these good stuff, baby. Dusty Rose I'm not gonna send you the wrong way. Trust in Dusty Rose. Reach out and understand I'm on your side, baby. We out here, we're doing the good stuff. Go to Dork Side Ring. Dork Side Ring, that's DorksideRing on the Twitters and on the Instagrams, baby. You understand that? You go there, you follow us, you keep in touch. That's great. You also follow Grumm at I Am Grumm. That's Grumm, like TylerIAm, but it's I Am Grumm. Grumm, baby. That's right. That's there. And the other thing, Daddy, let me tell you something. You go leave a 5-star review here. Help us grow. Leave a 5-star review. Apple, Spotify helps us grow. Appreciate. Also, if you would like to become a member of the larger community content, that's right, Dork Side Ring, streams and such, you go to grumm.tv. That's GRUMM.TV, Daddy. That's right. Now, let's get back to the show.
We're back here on the Dork Side of the Ring. We have just watched the entirety of the Hollywood Backlot Brawl, from the start of it, the mid-match update, and the ending of it. We're going to get the first impressions, as we always do. Scoob, what was that? Seeing it? Have you seen it before? First impressions of the Hollywood Backlot Brawl.
I had not seen it before, but I mean, that was legendary. We had the car chase, we had going through the spread at the meal. I mean, no one got lunch that day, and everyone was pissed. How many takes do we think it took? How many spreads were ruined to do this?
One, just one. Those are pros.
That is true. That is
Those
true.
Are
they are pros. They are mans.
They're incredible actors, you know. Other actors go, wait, you can do it in one take? Perfect? What? Wild. Everybody was in awe of the set.
That's just the Roddy way.
That is. What about you, Tyler? What about first impressions of the Hollywood Backlot Brawl?
Yeah, if it was like school, first time I had seen it, just what a production! Like just from beginning, middle, and end. The car chase tie-in, cutting into different matches, and then wrapping it all up in the ring. Like this is the wrestling I used to watch, Mr. Ebert. Where did this wrestling go?
We used to be a country.
We used to be a country, a proper country.
We used to have our wrestlers fight in the streets
And hit each other with cars like men.
He you know, I'm concerned about Goldust's convictions to actually like that. Feels like he didn't properly have feel like he wasn't committed to hitting him with a car, because Roddy Piper just pulled out a fire hose and sprayed water on. He basically put him through a car wash, and that stopped him dead in his tracks long enough for Roddy to get his bat back. Like,
well, I'll say that on the flip side, that feels like one. It's like, now listen, the cars have to collide. Don't accelerate at all.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, we need the cars to collide at 1 mile per hour. If they collide with you doing 6 miles per hour, he'll be killed. So do not go off script.
Well, the thing is, he hits him at like 15.
That's the thing. He's like, oh no. They peel away. They don't know what they're gonna see. It's like, can we go to the top camera? Because Roddy Piper might be smeared on the front of his
He might
Cadillac.
go underneath it, you know.
Whoever was in charge was like, whatever you do, don't kill Roddy with the car.
Yeah, we get one shot at this. Please don't kill Roddy Piper.
Well, you guys had noticed that Goldust was not getting any licks in at all. Like,
none.
One bit in the first part of it. And it's obvious, it makes sense now that, by the end of it, you see that, oh, well, he gets to hit him with the car. That makes sense. Like, beat my ass all you want. I'm going to hit you with a car. Like,
that's even Steven.
Yeah, you shattered. I don't even know. I feel like that was sugar glass in the car that he broke with the bat, but also, I don't think they would have gone that far to get a stunt car. So I think that might have actually been real glass. That.
Oh, definitely for that. Like for two, you saw how beat up that Bronco was.
Oh, I'm talking about the all gold Cadillac.
Oh yeah, no, that was somebody's cousin's car. They was like, we just need to use it real quick. You're not gonna mess it up with. No, it'll be in the back.
There's a story. I think it was the first. Yeah, I think it was the first Raw, first ever Monday Night Raw. They do the whole thing with Bobby the Brain Heenan getting kicked out of Raw, and he's trying to fight his way back in, and they throw like a box of stuff. Because he's like fired or let go and all that stuff. So they're doing the whole thing like, oh, here's all your stuff. And they throw it and it lands on a car and it like breaks the windshield. That car was Howard Finkel's brand new car. Like, he got it recently and brought it to the thing. And they're like, let's break Howard's car. Like, we'll pay him back. But like, and it's just like, they are
what a fine day to take my new vehicle to the wrestling event.
Like, they've done it, their histories with destroying cars and proper, and other things like tour buses. Vincent McMahon's convertible was filled with cement to the point where it broke the glass.
It'll do that.
As recently as Brock Lesnar tearing apart a car with his bare hands, incredible to watch, and flinging the door towards the crowd.
As one is known to do.
And normal people would throw it, and it would go maybe 5 feet, but Brock Lesnar is not normal, and he threw it 20 feet. But yeah, no, like, where do you put out like a classified ad the week before looking for an all gold Cadillac in the Los Angeles area?
We did in the Orange County area. We'll pay for your commute. We just need to use it for a couple. You're a wrestling fan? You like Goldust? That's why we need the gold car. Somebody was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And that was the last they saw of that car.
Vince,
go ahead, Scoop.
Vince was driving down the street. He saw the gold Cadillac, and he's like, Austin, I've got a great idea.
That's the one.
God damn it, Bruce. That's the one.
They paid somebody on the street for that car like $4 million. Like, Vince, that car cost $50,000. I needed it then.
The amount that WWE would, like any business, cut corners. I've covered the Kennel from Hell match on here, which is probably around the time you quit. It's a classic. Where as revenge for being fed his dog, Al Snow challenges Big Boss Man to a Kennel from Hell match, which is a cage match inside of the Hell in a Cell. But around the ring are fierce, rabid dogs that are not fierce at all. They're actually very nervous because they're in front of a lot of people and there's explosions going on around them. And they just shit and fuck. That's literally all the dogs do. They shit, piss, and they hump each other.
What a life.
Right? And
what a life.
All of it stems from WWE just like not actively trying to get like Hollywood trained acting dogs. They were just like, hey, local vets.
Just get dogs, man.
Do you have anybody who owns Rottweilers or German Shepherds? We'll give them free tickets to the show. And like that's how it worked.
Some kibble. It'll be great.
Yeah. The dogs, they'll get water and they'll get they get to you know what? They can shit in the hallways. That's not our problem. Like,
yeah, they get to be on TV.
We pay them in exposure. They don't need money.
Right.
But yeah, that definitely was like it's very like it's one of the whole thing is iconic for multitudes of reasons. Starting off with the all gold Cadillac because it's kind of you opens up, you got the manly man, Roddy Piper with a bat, leather jacket, black t-shirt and jeans ready to fight. And then up pulls a all gold Cadillac out of like he's like some movie villain who's all about gold. Like it's just like that's his, which that really was all of his identity.
I was gonna say that's basically it. Yeah.
And it's just like, whoa, okay, this is kind of cool. And then he starts to proceed to get his ass whooped. Now there's a story Dustin Rhodes talks about because he wanted there to be blood. He's Dusty Rhodes' kid after all. He wanted, it's a fight. You got to have some blood. And Vince McMahon goes, no, like you can't like purposely blade. They had at the time they had an explicit no blading rule, which means you can't take the little razor out of your wrist tape and slice across your forehead or on your arm or wherever to get blood. So you had to do it the hard way. And he tells
by bleeding,
by actually getting busted open. Well, there's two punches. So after in the part where Roddy Piper like picks him up to throw him on the hood, and he does it like barely because he's like, oh wait, he's taller than me, bigger than me, and this is a pretty high sitting car, so I'll just lay him there. Well, he throws a punch directly at the side of his head in a way that his knuckles would like basically break the skin, and nothing happened. So Dustin Rhodes goes like, all right, hit me again. And Piper's is like, all right. And just like tees up. And he's like, fine. Boom. Meanwhile, he had already been busted open and he was bleeding from the side of his head. And no one knew this at the time.
Nah. How could you?
Yeah, it's not like his head was, he had, thin, buzz cut, blonde hair, very difficult to see the blood.
Needle in a haystack.
He ended up looking like a Hellraiser stunt double by the end of it. But yeah, they fight, they ruin the catering, the shredded documents, and then Goldust gets the best of him, throws Piper in headfirst into the dumpster, gets in the car, backs up into what is just a regular Bronco. It's just sitting there, right? And nothing to think about. Backs into it, realizes...
Or so we think.
Correct. And then just peels off in the direction of Roddy Piper, and Roddy Piper jumps up so he doesn't get, like, ran over, and he gets hit in the knee. Like, he legitimately had knee problems for a little bit because he took a car at 10, 15 miles an hour to the knee because he couldn't jump that high. Shocker, a 43-year-old man couldn't jump it high enough to get over.
That was bone on bone, man. Roddy, God bless the dead, but there was no meniscus left in those knees.
No, not at all. He would have hip surgery later. That was his last WWE match until 2003. He ends up going to WCW to wrestle at Starrcade against the newly turned NWO leader Hulk Hogan. at Starrcade, becoming the first person, and I believe the only person, to wrestle at WrestleMania and Starrcade in the same calendar year.
That is boss.
Yeah, got 2 big paydays. But he gets hit. He starts limping over to the Bronco, and then he peels off, and that's it. Or so so we think, because they go back to the crowd. The crowd's like, "Yeah, that was amazing." Everybody's applauding. They're like, "Yeah, go get him, Roddy." And Vince and Jerry Lawler are like, "What? We're gonna keep going then, because we still got other things to do." And we don't know where they went. And Jerry Lawler's like, "Somebody call the cops," because Jerry Lawler is great at selling stuff. But so just for that first part, what were your thoughts leaving that? Like, what did you think was going to happen? Do you think we were going to get like full on coverage of the chase, or like, I know I told you there would be an ending, but like, did you expect what happened next to be what happened next?
I did not expect the actual OJ footage to be used. That surprised me.
That was a little jarring. But this is pay-per-view, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess you take a little bit more creative liberty.
Mm-hmm.
Did not expect that. Did Vince always, was he always on the desk for pay-per-view?
So it used to be Gorilla Monsoon.
Oh man,
From like for WrestleMania, from like WrestleMania 1 until about WrestleMania, I think 11, no 10 or 9. 9 was the last year Gorilla Monsoon was full time. Was a lead play-by-play, and then around 10, 11, and 12, Vince became the primary lead, guy, because Gorilla Monsoon did not want to be on TV. He was not feeling great, and he just kind of wanted to take a backstage, kind of more of a backstage role, be the Godfather kind of figure that he was. And Vince going, "All right, no one knows the stories like I know the stories, so I'm going to tell the stories," And it's like, that makes sense, but also, Vince, you're not good. like I'm sure.
Yes, I am.
Vince had the greatest announcer tell of all time, which is he would get up for the false finishes. He'd be like, 1, 2, he got him. No, like just 2. And then when it was the actual finish, it'd be like, what? He's going for the cover. 1, 2, 3, he got him. All right, it's like, no, Vince, you got it backwards. Like,
no, I don't.
I mean, he'd just be like, wait, he got him. No, like, and
I mean, it's just like, that's just the Vince McMahon experience. Him just trying to sell it. It looks like he's walking up the steps to. Oh my Lord! One left foot, right foot. Oh my God!
Have either of you ever seen the Beyond the Mat documentary?
No.
Okay, I recommend it. It is from 1997, 98, that time. So around the time you're still a fan. Specifically, it is filmed around the time where Mankind and The Rock wrestle at Royal Rumble, where Mankind takes like 17.
I have seen this movie.
Okay. There is a scene in it.
I have seen this movie. Yes,
okay.
Great movie.
Talking about Vince, like, being Vince, where he's trying to get Darren Drozdoff, the former Bronco, to puke. And he's
gonna hurl.
So he goes, "Hey, Darren." He's like, "Yeah, they called me puke," and they're like, "Why?" He's like, "Because I can puke on command," and like that's his selling point to get a job. Like, he is an incredible athlete. He's a former NFL linebacker. He's known because he puked on live television. But he's selling Vince. He's like, "Yeah, I can puke on command," and he's like, "All right. Do it." He goes, "Okay." And he's like standing over a trash can. And Vince is getting impatient. And he's just like, "Do you need help?" And he's like, sure. He's like, he's gonna puke. He's gonna hurl. Oh my God. Like, he's calling it like a match. And then he pukes and he goes, "Wow, that's impressive. We'll call, we'll be in touch." Like,
the best part of that is like, he's trying to, you see Vince in the meeting room, like trying to talk. I was like, "Yeah, I think he's gonna puke," and everybody else is like,
"Can he not?"
Yeah, I'd rather he not vomit right here.
So what, like, if you would you puke for a job like that would pay a pretty decent chunk of change?
It's the kind of talent where you can say you have it and you hope they don't ask you to prove it. Only Vince McMahon is asking you to
Right.
prove that.
He's like, I've said this for 12 years. No one's ever asked me to puke. No one's ever asked me to puke on command.
Also, that's such a college bro move. It'd be like, yeah, like what you're supposed to. I could puke on command. It's like, when is it ever helpful? Like, why?
Vince was 62 years old, so yeah, let's see it. Like, oh, that is awesome.
That's
He
great.
was like yelling out of the meeting room, like, guys, you gotta get in here.
Jerry Briscoe, Pat Patterson, you gotta see this.
He's gonna puke. Vince, I don't need to see him. I don't need to see a grown man puke. God damn it, you're gonna. It's like,
Look, it's in the bucket.
Give it a whiff. It smells real, doesn't it? Like, and like that was supposed to be his gimmick for a little bit, and then he ended up becoming part of when Hawk of the Legion of Doom was going through some tough times, and they were like, let's play up that he's going through tough times and make him suicidal, where he's gonna jump off the Titantron, and then he does. Like the wildness of the '90s.
Like I say, it was a better time. It was real cinema.
He ends up filling in, becomes like Legion of Doom 2000. Sonny's their manager, and then D'Lo Brown, over rotates a little bit and leaves him paralyzed on a power bomb, and
yeah, I remember that too.
Like that's a rough one because like D'Lo Brown has talked about it, and he's like, that fucked me. And he goes, that probably ruined my just as much as it ruined his life. Is I never shook it. Like I couldn't trust myself.
How could you, dude? How could you?
Like it makes me think of like. Football players, thankfully, they get, we celebrated the jacked up stuff, and most times no one's seriously hurt that we can tell. Their brain is absolute mush. But
yeah, short term.
But like, it makes me think of like the players who were like, damn, like I tackled this guy and I left him paralyzed for like 10 minutes. Like, and nope, gotta go. Short goldfish memory. Let's go. I gotta keep going. Like,
what you have to is like, hey man, we're gonna call a TV timeout. They're gonna scrape his ass up into the ambulance, and that's the start of the third quarter, man.
Yeah,
like that's the culture. You can't grieve. You can't because it's like, hey, it's second down.
No, it's like I don't know. I played sports in high school. I saw my friend, who was a quarterback at the time for JV, get horse collared, and his leg kept moving and his body did not. And we had like 7 minutes left in the game, and I'm like, I can't play anymore. Like, I just saw somebody's leg keep going at 12 to 15 miles an hour, and their body was back 2 yards from where their leg ended up, and I'm like, or wanted to end up, and it's just like,
next man up.
Yeah, and I'm like, and like, thankfully, like it happened. When I say thankfully, the other team,
to someone that was not you.
The other team, it happened in front of like their coach, and their coach was like,
oof.
"All right, we're down by 40. Fuck it, let's go home." Like, no one it's fucked. Like this is for a JV game. Ain't nobody give a fuck. Let's go home. Like that kid's like, we don't need to play this game anymore.
Yeah,
we're
let's
down
just
40.
not.
And I'm like, ooh, thank God I didn't have to play. Otherwise, more trauma.
Listen, I was gonna say, you lucky that it was that particular coach, because a lot of coaches would have been next man up.
Yeah, and be like, well, this is our time. They're starting quarterbacks down. Like we can make a comeback.
Look, boys, we got to capitalize. They're crying. I think we can get some. We can gain some ground. Their left tackle is in a fetal position, crying because he just saw what he saw. Like, that's yeah, we'll attack. We're going to send multiple attackers on that side. I remember when I was in 7th or 8th grade. This was after school, just messing around after school, waiting for our parents to pick us up. So a kid tried to hold the door open. Another kid on the inside, pulled it closed. You're trying to lock your friend out. It took the tip of his finger off. Like, we all saw it, heard it, everything. And I remember the first adult on the scene told the kid, "Come on, don't bleed on the floor." And that's what I swear to God. And that's what I was like, boy, they don't give a fuck, man. Jesus Christ. Told the kid, do not. And then a teacher came and like picked up the tip of the finger, all that. But the first adult said, "Come on, don't bleed on the. Come on, kid. I gotta wax that."
Scoop,
So that's next man up. Next man up.
You got a next man up story?
I remember my friend Matt in high school. He got like a punctured spleen or whatever.
Oh
and, like,
no,
Jeez.
I remember after practice, we were like waiting for all our rides, and he was like standing. He's like, "Guys, I really think I'm fucked up." And the coach was like, the coach was like, "Matt, quit being a little pushy from that hit you took." And like he spent like 2 weeks in the hospital. Like he almost died.
listen, that's the culture, man. He's playing it up. He's coughing up blood. Isn't that cute? Isn't that cute?
He's convulsing. That's a
He just want. Here's your attention. Here's your attention.
It's like, God, it's so fucked, man. It's just like going back to like the D'Lo Brown. Like, I understand and sympathize or more so empathize that like D'Lo's like I don't trust myself to wrestle. Like I left a man paralyzed.
Right.
You know, meanwhile, like Goldberg's like, shit happens. I ended up giving Bret Hart a concussion that leads to a stroke, that leads to the end of his career, and many failure, life complications. That's whatever. I'm still making money, and it's like
that's the game. But it's like you gotta be, because one day I'm gonna be on the other end of that.
Yeah,
I could be on the other end of it,
and that kind of gives me like insight, like a perspective at the Goldberg and Bret Hart thing, because Goldberg was a pro football player. Like that's all he did for up until 1996. Like he just played football. So the idea that I hurt the guy, but that shit happens. Like it's not ballet.
That's the point. Yeah.
When it's like but you're right. It's not ballet, but it also kind of is. Like you gotta make sure you don't drop the guy on his head. Like
right.
And take care of him. And
it's so many close calls too. Like I watched the Stone Cold biography. I didn't know Stone Cold had one of those, like a tombstone that went wrong or slipped or something. Buff Bagwell. I remember the Buff Bagwell one. A couple more, but it's like, man, those guys were just as close to being like Darren Drozdov's still paralyzed.
Yeah. John Cena has one. Was it Royal Rumble 2000? Yeah, Royal Rumble 2003. He gets thrown over the top, and his leg lands, and then he buckles in to the point where his like ankle is like at his pocket. And he's like fine because it's John Cena. He's insane. He's like literally broke his. He tore his bicep and was back in like 4 months when it's like a 6th or 7th month thing, and it's like wait, excuse me, like you're not supposed to be back, man. Like how are you doing? And it's like right. I also slipped a disc in my neck at the same time, and I'm back.
Whoops.
Like the man wrestled with the disgustingest like elbows, what is it, like the sack on your elbow, what is it called,
elbow sack.
Elbow sack. But like he had to get like drained, and I forget what it was, whatever, but like he's like, I'm gonna still wrestle with this until they tell me I can't, and they're like, look, you can't, we have to drain it, and when you drain it, all the fluid's out, so basically your arm can't move, otherwise you're going to reset, your arm's gonna like fall off. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah. No,
I just googled this picture of his elbow.
Oh. It's gnarly. And he's like,
that's not well.
No, it's not. He's like, I'll wrestle on it until it falls off. And they're like, for us to do our procedure to fix that, it will fall off if you wrestle. He's like,
well, like, no, it just might.
Yeah. God.
Oh yeah, that is very nasty.
Right.
That is sick.
It's bulbous. This is what it is.
Yeah.
It's one of him just pointing at it, showing the ladies like, "Look, that's where all the fluid is."
Yeah, no, like the injuries in like pro wrestling is it's not it's stunt work, and it's done in front of a live audience. I've talked about how pro wrestling's like, and it sounds very pretentious to say it, but I think it's true, is the last Shakespearean art form, because it's like the crowd surrounds the performers. The performers are at the ground level. Performers go up, audience goes up. Whereas like now it's like, the audiences or the artists are on a pedestal, and the audience is looking up at them, where it's not whereas Shakespeare was very much the opposite. But like I thankfully I've been to a lot of wrestling and I've never seen anybody seriously injured, so that's good. But it definitely takes the air out of the place when you're like, oh wow, they're actually hurt. Like they tore their ACL, or they like Rick Boogs was trying to squat the Usos at the same time at WrestleMania this year and blew out his quad. Like
no, thank you.
Yeah. And it's like, oh wow, that's a blown quad. That's starting to bruise real bad. Wow, that's really bad.
Yeah, that happened quick.
Yeah.
Didn't Vince? Did the Stone Cold hit Vince and like blew out both of his quads? Or something?
Not even. I wish it was that funny, or not. I wish it was that involved. So 2005 Royal Rumble, again involving John Cena. This time with Batista. Batista was supposed to send John Cena over the top rope and follow him out, but Cena was supposed to hit the ground first, giving Batista the win, kind of like a Lex Luger, HBK, or Bret Hart similarity, right? Where it's like, oh, they both landed at the same time, they're both gonna get a title shot. This one was like kind of like they landed almost at the same time. Batista wins, and they land at the exact same time, and they spend minutes combing the replays, trying to find an angle that makes it look like Cena landed first. And then meanwhile they're in the ring like, no, he won, and they're looking for one of the authority figures, Eric Bischoff or Teddy Long, holla holla holla, to
hold on a minute there, player.
Yeah, hold on, to come out and be like, we're gonna restart this match. Except they both left before the hour long Royal Rumble started, because they were done. Hey, you got the Royal Rumble match, and that's it. We go home. Like we don't need to stay around. We're not actually wrestlers. We'll leave. Like, hey, you want to Uber?
Right.
We'll Uber back to the hotel.
Done.
Yeah. So they left, and Vince is like, God damn it, where's Teddy? Where's Eric? And they're like, they left, Vince. You have to go out there. So he is pissed, and he is doing the Vince, not the strut. Right? But his arms are doing the strut, but his legs are doing the I'm fucking pissed I have to do this. I'm going to come out here, I'm going to fix this. And as he slides into the ring, he blows out both of his quads by simply sliding into the ring. That's how mad he was at
both tires, man.
Both quads. So there is 2 referees apiece for in traditional black and white referee gear for Raw, and blue and black for SmackDown. They're all holding up, but one's holding up Batista's, one's holding up, and they're all like doing that. And there's Vince McMahon looking up at these gigantic humans, shouting at them that they're gonna get back in the ring, they're gonna restart the match, and then they're not gonna fuck it up this time. And like he's doing this while he's on his ass with like torn quads, blown out quads, and it is so funny to look at, because it is, you think of Vince McMahon, you think, oh, big macho man, but here he is, the most vulnerable he's ever been.
Look down here.
Like, this is a man, he's like, yeah, I make fun of me having a wig for my hair. It's not a wig, but make fun of it. Yeah, no, like, because he's very confident in himself and sure of himself. But to be there with blown quads on live pay-per-view, shouting because no one else, he had to do it. It's like, man, that sucks, but hey, man, you're the boss. Like, this shit happens.
Next man up. This is what happened with next man. This is the bad part of next man up. You the next man up.
So, so he ended up having two blown quads as a result of sliding into the ring.
Oh, that sounds like the worst thing ever.
It's definitely not the best.
I do not want to blow both of my quads doing anything.
It's just wild. It's like, man, like that's how you did it, Jesus. But yeah. So I want to go back to the match a little bit, because we were talking a little bit about the OJ. We started talking about the OJ and then went elsewhere. Would you believe me if I told you that the original plan for Roddy Piper at the beginning of in January of 1996 was for him to wrestle OJ Simpson at this event in Los Angeles?
Why didn't they wrestle? Something came up?
So this is So mind you, the suit is over and everything by, you know, 90, you know, late 95, 96, and they're like, all right, well, you know, hey, would OJ like to do? You know, they're looking
surely
for,
it's all good. It's
you
all
know,
water under the bridge by
yeah,
now.
he's
right?
innocent, right? He was
He's been
innocent.
for several months.
And Vince McMahon and WWE, sure to, you know, the year prior, they had just reached out to Lawrence Taylor after he retired to get him involved, and it turned into good business for them because they were in the New York market and everything. Now, OJ Simpson, LA, you know, it's controversial, but hey, Roddy, would you like to do it? Ah, yeah, sure, pal, I'd like to do it. And it's like, okay, cool, we got Roddy to do it. Hey, let's call OJ's people. Would OJ would like to do it? And it's like, are you paying us? Yes, we'll do it if you pay us. So it was going along to plan. And then people outside of those involved heard about it, and they were like, Vince, that is the worst idea ever. If you do this,
it's not.
If you do this, no sponsors will ever talk to you again. Like, you don't understand. It's not controversial. This man got away with murdering his wife and another person.
The glove didn't fit. You saw it.
He's innocent. I don't know what you're talking about. He had his day in court. And he was proven.
I feel like that would be exactly Vince's case. It's like, Vince, we can't do we can't do this. You understand?
And it got to a point where I want to say they were about I want to say February. So it was about a month because Roddy Piper had come back and did a promo about the right and wrongs in America and how he was going to right the wrongs in the WWE, right? So if all had gone to plan, that would have been a very poetic and thematic, promo that he did. Except thankfully, it didn't go to plan. And what we ended up with was Roddy Piper supposedly driving a white Bronco down the I-5 towards Anaheim, being chased by cops.
I'm just picturing this was OJ Simpson. It's like, oh, OJ Simpson kissed him on the lips. No, King.
Vince thought, and company, Vince and company, thought that it wouldn't be that bad of a plan because at the end of it, Roddy Piper would beat the ever-loving shit out of OJ. Like, he would just be like, you're going to beat up OJ. OJ's not going to get any offense in. He's going to look like a schlub. And that's kind of like the idea was like, Roddy Piper is the justice of America that America needs. And they're like, that's the plan. And they're the only people who thought it was a good idea. Everybody else is like,
that's a good idea. As someone
I think it's a great idea.
Someone with no horse in the race, I think that's a fantastic idea.
Could you imagine what the world would be like if we had immediately normalized OJ Simpson to where he's getting his ass whooped by Roddy Piper at WrestleMania months after getting off for murdering his, like...
We'd have flying cars by now.
That's that perfect utopia society picture. That's how it would look.
Yeah, if Roddy Piper wrestled OJ, we would have, maybe OJ doesn't break in and, get his memorabilia. Maybe somebody gets his memorabilia back for him, Well,
Who knows? They turned that into a bit.
Yeah.
Like, no, man, it was OJ Cor Holly. They showed up in Vegas. They wanted his stuff back.
And it's just so wild that it's just like I'm looking at it and because Bruce Pritchard talked about it on his podcast, and he said the original plan was all that, and they had it all covered by everybody, and the only thing that got in the way was other people finding out.
So we very well could have had this if somebody probably bragged about it. It's like, OJ Simpson's gonna hit Roddy Piper with a car.
Yeah, he's OJ's he's gonna be at WrestleMania.
He's on payroll.
Like, how do you how do you keep that a secret? Because at some point you gotta like, if you would have kept it a secret,
clearly.
If you were to get to the point where you get to announce it on your television programming that Roddy Piper is going to face OJ Simpson.
I don't think they would have announced it. I think they would have just been like, boom, here it is. It's OJ. It's a showdown.
Who is Roddy? Is that OJ?
My
Simpson?
It would have been like a random like man on the street, like he's at the store and he's like, "Is that OJ Simpson?" He'd be like, "OJ Simpson, I'm here to avenge America."
And they just fight in the middle of Ralph's.
Roddy Piper, the Avenger we didn't know we needed.
Our hero.
It's just like we thought the end game of OJ. This is an exact quote from Bruce Pritchard. Quote: "We thought the end game of OJ getting the shit kicked out of him would satisfy some people, and as those words come out of my mouth, you can realize how ridiculous this is today. But you always have to try something on, even if it sounds ridiculous."
That's right.
Now I'm with Bruce. Why do we even have court? That should be the court. It's like, listen, we thought, I don't know, Your Honor, we thought it would be some cool shit. We were wrong.
Are we? Who are we to be the judge? Who are we? The court of public opinion.
I mean, Vince should have been like, "Look, we wouldn't have had to done this if the court did its job. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
we had to step in."
That would have been
We're
the greatest.
actually good
Vince. Yeah, we're giving the American people what they want and that they demand. All right.
Yeah,
we were
people wanted justice.
Yeah, T-shirts, brochures, all that, and we were going to give 3% of 3% to the family.
Now that I think about
We're
it,
the heroes.
I don't think that's Vince would probably be like, "Yeah, I'm like OJ. We were both both targeted by the government, and made victims. Me with the steroids, him with allegedly murdering his wife and another man,
Him with double manslaughter.
like, hey, we're a lot alike, OJ. Me and you." We beat the charges.
As soon as OJ steps out of like the limo, and JR is like, "No, King, that's not OJ." That's when Vince gives him, we got a lot in common, Jew. You and me. And that's the introduction. And then 3 weeks later, OJ is the Intercontinental champ.
OJ has a segment with the $1 Million Man asking, and it's Ted DiBiase asking what the price was. So, what was their price? What was
Free. When you keep it in house, it's free.
I'm just sitting here, and it, as fucked up as it is, but it's just like I wouldn't put it past WWE to make like a whole night where like OJ Simpson's the guest host. They used to do that where they were like, we have a guest host, and like Bob Barker was one. The
Trump
Muppets.
did it, I think.
Trump did a couple things. He allegedly bought all the advertising on a Raw, and then said we're going to have 3 hours of uninterrupted Raw, and it only ended up being the first hour, which makes sense because
Most Trump thing I've ever heard.
Exactly. I mean, I can't wait because I'm doing a McMahon McMonth in August where every topic is related to Vince McMahon because he has done a lot of things that are Dork Side of the Ring eligible. But the first thing I'm doing is the Battle of the Billionaires because it is wild to think about Vince McMahon fighting a future president.
True.
This is a thing that happened.
Like it's like it doesn't make sense. It is the chimpanzee
with the Rock.
The chimpanzee with a typewriter all alone. That's what it's like. Vince McMahon, future president, Wrestlemania. It's like, whoa, wild.
Vince McMahon fights Joe Biden 2024.
Boy, I hope not, but that might be a thing. That might be. You got my wife fired. You son of a bitch.
McMahon in 4. Give me a break.
Yeah, nah. He might look like a gremlin, but he's still probably strong as. I mean, he still works out apparently till like 2 a.m.
I saw him bench press like it was like 1,000 pounds, or it wasn't a bench; it was like a deadlift or something. It's like 600 to 1,000 or something.
He's juiced to give.
Oh yeah, there's a story. So Mark Henry, world's strongest man, competed in the Olympics for powerlifting. When he started, like his much like Darren Drozdoff, he went to WWE to talk about getting signed and everything. And Vince said, "Well, how much can you bench?" And Mark Henry's like, I set the state record in Texas. I'm an Olympic powerlifter, Vince. Like, I can lift more than you." And Vince says, "I bet you can't." And Mark, like being very ultra competitive, was like, No, the fuck you can't. Like, I literally am going to the Olympics to be for this."
We'll see.
Apparently, they go to the gym at the offices, and Vince just outworks him. From like they start lifting at like 8:00, and then Vince doesn't stop until 2. The entire time he is just dogging Mark Henry. Every time Mark's like, man, like I'm getting. He's like, hey, come on, I'm world's strongest man. If you can't outlift me, then you're not a WWE superstar. That's how. And he's like, I gotta outlift this crazy old man for a job. Like, and he's like, man,
that's also a very Vince thing. I lifted till his heart exploded. I'm still living.
Yeah, Vince will die at like the tail end of an 8-hour workout session someday.
Yeah, no, I mean
that's exactly when he's 96.
He like I think he's immortal. I have said on this podcast, God is afraid of Vince McMahon, and the devil pays Vince rent. Like,
I was gonna say, if he go to one of those places, that just means you got to deal with him all the time. I'd want to keep him alive too.
Exactly, you know. So like all the legitimately bad people that Vince McMahon has employed willingly, Jimmy Snukas, the Chris Benoit's we talked about, attempting to get OJ Simpson for a thing. Like, he's done a lot of bad stuff. Leading to having a hand in the death of Owen Hart. That's another Dark Side you should watch, because it's
that was a tough one.
It's rough. But like, just the shit that like Vince has done, it is just a absolute masterclass in just being uncancelable. You cannot cancel Vince McMahon, because he's past that point.
Yeah, that's the ultimate. Anything cancel culture, like, explain Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon
he's
apparently
stronger than ever.
Like, he allegedly exposed himself to a like tanning salon attendant, and no one like, it's just whatever. Vince McMahon does. Okay, that's that. Like, he also made his employee strip down to her underwear and bark like a dog on national television. It's like, this man has done a lot.
Normal stuff.
Yeah. He's made out with multiples of his employees. Which, like, sure, everybody's like, man, I'd like to be Vince McMahon. I would, but also you don't, because that means you have bad morals, and maybe you do.
I think that's what people are saying. People are saying they just wouldn't care. Do I get to do the making out stuff too? Then I don't care.
I don't care. I get to make out with Sable and Trish Stratus. Yeah.
Some babes.
Do you think Vince McMahon pays it forward?
Oh, no chance.
Are you kidding? No chance in hell at that. Vince McMahon has never paid it for. Vince McMahon gets in line as like, the person behind me will be paying for. No, they're okay with.
Tell them Vince McMahon's in the car in front of them.
He just turn around and wave, and they just kind of wait. Oh, maybe they know me.
Dude,
like, oh, okay, yeah.
Dude, that would be. He'd be like, tell the person behind me they had the honor of paying for Vince McMahon's meal.
They get up there. It's like the guy in the Bentley. He said you would be purchasing his 4x4, and you're just like, I guess I am. Yeah, I put it on my tab.
If that was your only chance to pay it forward, are you paying it forward?
Oh, nah. It'll die with me. It'll die. It will die with. I say, you'll starve, old man.
God damn it. That Trill whiskers. I knew I should have. I'm glad I fired him in 2004.
I've got to drive back around and see if I can catch me a dummy.
I can imagine him doing that too. It's just out of spite, spending all day driving around and ordering. Just keep it in the toaster. It'll be all right.
Yeah, no, I'll be back.
Until somebody pays for it. Damn
it. Your orange juice and McMuffin again? You know me, Janice.
Do you think we got a sucker behind me? I'm just gonna pull up to the second window and see if they just call ahead if they don't.
If you drove a 04 Kia Sorento, would you pay it for? I'm playing the numbers.
I see a mom in a minivan. I'm just gonna pull around already. Like, I heard
it. I'll try it again after lunch.
The journey of Vince McMahon trying to get somebody to pay it forward proactively. like normally you do it, you know.
He charging it back, man. That is not paying it for.
It's just like the audacity. It's just so like that might. There's a lot of evil things Vince McMahon has done. That said, if he were making people try to pay for his meal before he paid it forward in like a reverse, charging it back, like he said, that might be the worst thing he's ever done.
Oh, it's up there with the worst.
I think the devil would be like, "No, dude, it's your time. Come on." Like,
too much, even for me, man. Too much.
But yeah, so the original plan was Roddy Piper versus OJ Simpson, which when we were talking about the Chris Benoit, there was a little, weird similarities there. But they go through the rest of the night, and then they pick back up, and they're now at the Anaheim pond, and they're chasing each other. Roddy Piper pins him in, and you think, yeah, he's gonna get him, and then it's like, oh no, he's in the back, and he's being helped by his wife. That's why. What? Okay, and he's in the ring. Oh, Roddy Piper's grabbing a beer and wrist tape.
What you mean? This is regular wrestling.
I mean, look, he did say he was gonna follow him to Tijuana that's where he went to bang on his car. But then they have a nice brawl. They're fighting. Goldust gets the best of him, starts caressing Roddy Piper's buttocks, straddling him.
You had the Bronco out like that. You'd be like, man, I gotta call Vince McMahon. I gotta call Vincent the King.
In 1996.
Yeah, I must.
What kind of technology does he have? Roddy Piper a time traveler?
Or a trillionaire?
I know that they had car phones back then, but no way did that Bronco have a car phone in it.
Nah, not a chance. Not a chance. And he just had to remember numbers back then. He just remembered Vince's number.
Yeah, like that's the other thing.
Look, you heard the siren in the background. It had to be real.
It was as real as could be.
I don't.
You heard how shocked Vince was. Scoob.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, what? You telling me he wins Oscars too?
Roddy Piper should have won an Oscar, maybe.
He
should,
should.
But that's why I brought up the whole movie thing, because he was in Let Them Live, and or They Live, not Let Them Live. What They Live?
Yeah, what did I call it before?
You said they. It's just, I knew what you meant because my brain was like, yeah, they is in the title. He's all out of bubble. He's here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and he's all out of bubble gum. Goldust was there to kick ass and grope Roddy Piper, and he was not done groping Roddy Piper.
And I'm all done kicking ass.
Basically what he did. He was straddling him. He did the little Goldust like sensual feeling of himself, and then started feeling Roddy Piper. It was very erotic for the 1996 wrestling scene. It probably was erotic for HBO as well, by their terms. And like Roddy Piper deciding, well, if this guy's gonna kiss me, try to grab me inappropriately and spank me, I'm gonna give it right back to him because he's not expecting
pull his dick off of his body if he does those things.
He literally gave him the kick twist. He got full hand. Scooby pointed out that was not a very flattering jumpsuit, or was a very flattering in some.
I was gonna say, depends on which side.
Depends on what side you look at it. So I mean, it was very obvious where he didn't have to try to guess where it was. He knew where it was.
No guesswork.
And then he was just spanking him like as he's running away like a child.
Yeah, that'll teach Goldust. That'll teach him.
Well, what taught him was getting stripped down to his brassiere and lingerie.
You couldn't even mention those things back then.
No, especially not on a 6'6", 240-pound man. No, the world was not ready for that at all. I mean, I remember it got a lot of heat. No, it went as far as for Goldust, Glad came down on WWE like hard for portraying a queer character as evil, and they were like, you need to do better, and WWE was like, you're right, we do. And then in response, he came out I want to say 1996. He went away for a little bit, then he came back, and Jerry the King Lawler was like, well, it was like interviewing him, and he's like, well, you're queer, right? And he's like, no, I'm not. And like the crowd goes wild. They're like, yes.
Boy.
And I'm like, rewatching that. It's like,
yeah, that's tough.
And like WWE is always wrestling in general. It's not just WWE, but like there was a wrestler, adorable Adrian Adonis. Children were chanting homophobic slurs at the man loudly, and it was encouraged because it was the 80s. But like, it's wild to see how far we've come, because like now there are actual LGBTQ wrestlers who are allowed to just be themselves.
I was gonna say it's not gimmick, right?
No,
like,
it's just themselves.
I was gonna say, because that's the thing. Over the course of 40, 50 years, none of these people have been gay or lesbian. Okay, all right. Oh, sure thing, buddy. Okay.
Pat Patterson, Vince's right-hand man, was also allegedly not a good person. Oh yeah.
You tell Vince's right-hand man?
Vince's right-hand man.
Is that what you mean to tell me? Wow.
Allegedly groped and sexually harassed some ring boys.
God damn it, Pat.
Yeah. But it was one of those, like, it's not a secret, but it is a secret. Like, he wasn't out, but everybody, he had his partner. Like, he went everywhere with his partner. And everybody's like, Pat, we know you're like, no. Anyways, let's get, talk, like, that's how it went.
Yeah.
Because for him, it was a matter of survival. But like, it's just wild. Like, hey, like, we have Vince McMahon literally came up with heard the word androgynous, called Dustin Rhodes, who was just let go from WCW in 1995, and was like, hey, I got a gimmick for you. You're androgynous. And he's like, the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, what?
Well, then they pivoted to Tourette's after that, right? So it was like...
in 2002. So in between was the artist formerly known as Goldust, when he got into like a dark time in his life, and he was like very BDSM like, and he was just coming out in different attires every week and whatnot. And then when he came back in 2002, he was jumped by the NWO. They threw him into an electrical box, and he got electrocuted.
Bad luck, man.
Which then gave him Tourette's, which then they just played off Tourette's as comedy. Because he would,
well, like everyone knows, Tourette syndrome is hilarious.
Yeah,
he was on the Howard Stern show, and they were like, "No, is this legit?" And he'd be like, "Yes, it is legit."
Yeah, he's like, "You're not gonna catch me slipping." Nope.
Yeah, nice try.
Yeah, like they would do it to where like he would say he'd be on the verge of saying something inappropriate. Like, the one I remember is like he was gonna say cock, and he was like cock, penis, and it's like, what? That's no.
He has Tourette's, but he also has a heart of gold. He means well.
Like, like Jesus Christ. That him and Booker T were doing that bit for a year or two, and it was, everybody loved it. Probably shouldn't have, but
no,
but
no.
But Goldust's original character, he also wasn't supposed to, like, it wasn't just that Roddy was supposed to have a different match. Goldust was supposed to have a different match. He was supposed to wrestle Razor Ramon, talking about, Scott Hall earlier. He was supposed to wrestle Scott Hall at WrestleMania. It was supposed to be Scott Hall's last match in WWE. They wanted him to put over Goldust, and Goldust even started around the same time Roddy was doing his stuff about righting the wrongs in WWE. He was talking about being attracted to the machismo of him, the utter machismo. He's like, I want that. I want to feel the machismo. And like Razor Ramon did not like the character Goldust at all.
I can see that.
Maybe for some reasons, maybe for that he didn't. Who knows? Maybe he didn't agree that portraying a queer character as a villain was a good idea. Who knows? But he was not comfortable with the character.
Our ally, Scott Hall.
Yeah, he was not
number one ally.
He was not comfortable with the whole program. He didn't like the idea. And this is coming off of a program between Goldust and Ahmed Johnson, where Goldust brought him back, like resuscitated Ahmed Johnson, and like mouth to mouth resuscitation, and then like Ahmed Johnson went batshit insane, with like ripping doors off of things.
He's from Mississippi, man.
Yeah.
They don't play. You just let them die.
No, yeah. So Scott Hall put in. He goes, hey, let me. He had at the same time. He'd also told the office, like, hey, like, let me know when I have 3 months left on my contract because I don't want to renew it, and because back then they would have rolling contracts. So basically, if you didn't tell Vince and company that you wanted out, you were still going. You were still under contract for the following year. And he had basically been like, Vince, I want more money. And they're like, can't give you more money. We don't have any. He's like, all right, well then let me work in Japan where I can make money, as well as WWE. He goes, no, because if you get hurt over there, it fucks with my business. He's like, all right, so you're not going to pay me more. You're not going to let me go make more money. I'm gone. And then all of a sudden he, fails a drug test and is suspended for the duration of his contract. And yeah. So
well, I mean, just bad timing and nothing more by Booker T, and nothing more.
Yeah. So that's how Goldust and Roddy Piper, now both without matches, but both needing matches because they've been on TV hyping up a match, end up together to do this. And it was obviously a much talked about match for many reasons. I think the general reaction to the OJ thing was, haha, the OJ thing, haha, oh, that's a good reference. And then immediately all went away because everybody could remember at the time was, man, this is a 6'6" man in lingerie. His whole buttocks were out. And he was wearing garter belts. What? And that is the Hollywood.
Vince said, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah, and Vince said, "That's money, pal." Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the one.
Sold out crowd.
They'll have to pay to view this one.
Like, it's just what Roddy wouldn't be seen in WWE for another 7 years. Goldust would, rebound, as we said, become a good guy, and then go through some dark times in his personal life, be let go because of that, and made it out on the other side. He's currently in AEW right now, kind of like helping the women's division, women wrestlers get better while also occasionally wrestling. And Roddy Piper passed away in 2016. 2014, I think it was.
Yeah, I remember that one. I was like, oh man, not Roddy.
Yeah, I think it was 2014. I don't know why I keep saying 1994. Like, no, he was still.
Yeah, not 24. That sounds right.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's that. OJ Simpson, he's doing his stuff. Scott Hall passed away this year, and Tom Cruise is making money. I think we've covered the where are they now aspect of everybody we talked about.
Tom Cruise, the only one alive and well.
And he's just well in the bank. I don't know. Who knows? He might just be on his third body. I don't know. I don't know how Scientology works.
They probably swapped them things out.
He's definitely getting put in brain. They're taking his brain, putting it in a different body, and then Face Off. Great movie. Love that movie. But yeah, so final takeaways. Scoob, we'll start with you of the Hollywood Backlot Brawl and your time on the Dork Side of the ring today.
Well, I had a great time. Thanks for having me on. I actually knew a lot more wrestling than I thought I did. And I'm gonna say I really liked that match. And I think the gold car, they need to bring that back. They need to give someone else the gold car. They need to have more cars driven out like to the ring or stuff like that. They don't do that much anymore. They got to bring that back.
No, so WrestleMania this year, they had it twice. Becky Lynch came out in like a Escalade with like a driver to make her a big deal, and then the next night, Sasha Banks and Naomi came out in like a bright green and yellow Lambo, and apparently Sasha Banks got to keep that Lambo. And
nice. She didn't mention that.
No, a month and a half later, she's like, "Nah, like we're gonna go suspend us. I don't care. We're walking out." which is still just a wild scenario when one of your top stars is just like, yeah, fuck this, we're
Yeah, I'm all set.
But yeah, so other than that, you're right, like not too many people have. I remember Alberto Del Rio had a car every week. Eddie Guerrero had the lowriders every week.
JBL had the limo
with the Longhorns on it.
Yep.
That's always good.
I think that's probably my main it used to be a whole production.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like the whole they had to do it like outside, go from outside to inside. They were in the garage or under the building. Camera angles, food, the spread. I can't mention the spread enough. It just kind of like a running thing. Like we'll pick like they were just fighting off and on like Peter Griffin and the chicken, and we'll just pick it up when we pick it up.
Yeah, no, they should have done that. Where like he's like stopped. This topic comes up on Dork Side where we need more wrestlers fighting at regular life places. Like Stone Cold and Booker T fought in a grocery store in one of the greatest like
that's like more production stuff. It was like that guy's going to buy a car. Like now he's got to fight.
Like Goldust is bleeding, wet from water, breathing heavily, but he's got to stop to get gas because he's running on E. Like,
he's at the DMV, man.
But he just got away. He's like, all right, cool, all right, cool. Roddy Piper I'm getting gas. And then like cut to Roddy going, where is he? I bet he's getting gas. And then it's just,
I gotta get some too. Yeah.
It's like, and they just show up and they both have that like moment where like, I could fight you now, but I need to put gas in this car. And then,
just you wait.
The tension of them filling up, and then you cut Smash to the gallon marker going up, ding ding ding, and you're like, oh god, who's gonna fill their car up first? The Bronco that gets 10 miles a gallon, or the Cadillac that gets 6? Like who's gonna, both are awful.
But then you cut back and it's all just a big critique on gas prices.
Hey, that's true. And
it's just a very somber Vince McMahon talking about gas. The real loser here today is all of us.
Just the common people, me and you. I mean, the fact that he sees himself as a common person. He was on Pat McAfee's show and did a very uncharacteristic interview, like out of, Pat McAfee's not going to try to set him up and, get him and trap him, but he's also, going to be able to get him to talk about just being a quote unquote dude. And Vince's like, I used to like drinking beer. I don't like doing it. I'm too old. It sits too much. Gets in my way of working out. And it's like, what the fuck? Vince, you're 80. You're damn near 80 years old. Go home.
Oh, and also a billionaire. Sit down.
Be a father.
Yeah, sit down.
Be a grandfather. Be a husband. Damn it. But yeah, it's just wild. I could definitely see him being like coming out, doing like the zoom out and then walking into the center of the frame. Gas prices are just gas gouging is ridiculous. Call your demand better.
Call your alderman.
Otherwise, your children will be dealing with this crisis 30 years later. But yeah, so yeah, it used to be. I mean, in a sense, they are a production. It's just we're used to the production a little bit, where it's just like when they step out of during the pandemic, they were doing that a lot with like cinematic matches that were not the normal thing, where they were like, oh, an action, like Undertaker's last match, technically
AJ Styles,
is an action movie scene where he drove up on his motorcycle to a fight and he fought AJ Styles and buried him and then drove away like a hero. Like, and it was great because you're like, oh yeah, WWE's good at this shit. Like, that's right. Like, they're good at production.
Yeah, lean into it.
They just don't. That's why I say wrestling is better when no one's taking it serious. Like, when you could just be like, they're fighting in a Hollywood backlot. He's driving a white Bronco like OJ did. Oh, hey, there's OJ's footage. Like, that shit's...
Right, I get it. Yeah, I've been on the joke.
Yeah. You're just like, that's funny. It's good. But I've held you guys up long enough. I thank you for giving me your time. We do our farewells in reverse order that we did the intro. So, Tyler, remind the people where they can find you, what you got working on, anything you'd like to plug, any causes you'd like to bring awareness to. The floor is yours.
At Mateen Cleaves on Twitter. TylerIAm. We TWS Monday through Friday, 12 to 3. Drop in, drop out. Maybe you'll like it.
All right. Scoob, same for you.
Yeah, most crucified on Twitter. Find me at the same place. We're shackled together. You got us here, and you can't escape us. Good luck escaping us.
Yeah, nice try.
But yeah, no, that's
Oh,
pretty
good.
much it for me. Yeah.
All right. And now that I have you here, and the real hard questions. Why do you hate the Sixers, guys? You guys don't talk about the Sixers right now. You guys aren't talking about my team. Talk about you didn't talk about Pokemon. I should have been like, damn, that was big news. That would have been big. That would have been big in the chat.
See, I had my Paul Reed advanced numbers. I was like, that trying too hard. I threw them away.
All right, this is a deep cut because it's Paul Reed, and nobody listening is going to get. But he wants to add 10 to 15 inches to his vertical, and that is a crazy thing to try to do in my mind. Is to be like, I'm going to jump. I think he can too. It's just wild to be like, I'm going to jump a foot higher by next season, in the next 3 months.
Hey, the first step to that is you got to think I can jump a foot higher.
That's
Doc
true.
Rivers can't deny me playing time if I learn how to jump a clean foot higher.
If I can jump and put both of my heels on top of the backboard, there's simply no way he can play DeAndre Jordan.
No one can stop me. Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for coming on. Tyler, thanks for this podcast. Kind of started because you were giving open mic time to people of your Patreon to give yourself extra run time on your podcast without you actually having talking, which is very smart. And people were paying you to do that. That's very smart of you.
Man, I had it made.
Now you have to sit and talk.
It's bull, dog. It is bull.
But I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me. This was fun. Yeah. I don't know. Wrestling's just one of those memory lane things. Like they drop random baseball players, random. I was like, if we go random like wrestler, brother, we can get into the mud.
Dude, I did that with a couple guests of mine a couple episodes back, where I basically was like, hey, is this I'm gonna give you a wrestler's name and you're gonna tell me, are they real or not, right? And the bit was, at the time, I'm giving them every wrestler is real. I'm giving them Mantar. I'm giving them swashbuckler Paul Burchill, who was basically like a Pirates of the Caribbean. I gave him and then like the best one was an independent wrestler by the name of the Progressive Liberal, and he wrestles in like West Virginia.
Nah, I like that guy.
And he was coming out with like a shirt that just had Hillary Clinton on it. And his trunks would say like universal healthcare, like that's it. And he was just getting booed out of the building. Yeah, it was great. But yeah, no, I appreciate you guys coming on. Scoob as well. I'm glad to have both of you guys. I'd love to have you on in the future, if you so choose to accept the invitation. The seats are open for you whenever you would like to sit in them and visit the Dork Side of the ring.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah! I'll come back. How about that? Come back and talk some wrestling and have a nice time again. Would you like that, Grumm?
Oh God!
Yeah.
Whew, don't. You know what? I'm sure this is going to be a hit with the close personal friends. They're going to go wild, and it'd be a shame if the two of you and maybe even Jam Packard comes in. If we can,
brother,
get
you're asking for a lot now.
I know, but who knows? We could try. You got to
shoot for the moon.
Aim for the fall among the stars, or
That's
aimlessly in space. I don't know science. I'm not a science guy.
That's how it goes.
I'm a wrestling guy.
We're gonna find out Jam like semi-professional wrestler.
Yeah, Jam was like, yeah, I wrestled in Japan for 8 years. I said, what?
Yeah, I wrestled. You know that Okada guy? Yeah, I wrestled him. I was in the dojo with him.
Y'all never seen Rey Mysterio Sr.? That was me.
Just it was me, Rey Mysterio, and Eddie Guerrero, and we were bird watching. That's where my love of birds came.
It's a long story. I won't get into it.
Yeah, but thank you guys. Appreciate it, and love you guys. Thanks for coming around.
Of course, appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you as well.
It would be a real shame if Tyler and Sex J would come back onto the Dork Side of the ring. If you enjoyed their appearance, let them know. Let me know. That's right. let me know so that I can badger them, be like, y'all, you got the people want the people. It would be a shame to give them what they want. But it was a good time. It was an excellent time. I enjoyed it immensely. I hope you did too. Thank you all for listening. If this is your first time listening, come back. It's a good time. We do this every week. This is what we do. We end up being goofballs, talking goofy stuff. Last week's episode, the Kiss My Foot match, I told a story about a coworker of mine who was absolutely detrimentally horny. Maybe not to the way that Sex J's friend was, but got himself his job cost. He cost himself his job asking what them feet do, basically. So that's the kind of stuff you can get here. Next week's episode is 4th of July related. We are going to be covering Mr. America, who is Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, at one time, was banished from the WWE by Vince McMahon, and as such, he came back as a masked wrestler known as Mr. America, who definitely did everything Hulk Hogan did, but was not Hulk Hogan. And we can go through that. It's a fun one. I got my friends Gerp and Schmoogoogle with that one. Appreciate you guys following me at I am Grumm, at Dork Side Ring. Grumm.tv is it takes you to the community Discord, and support.grumm.tv takes you to the Patreon if you want to get these episodes early and also want more content. That's right, more content for your dollars. Or you can just continue for free, and I appreciate that. I do want a little bit of programming note before we wrap up. The original plan for August was for it to be McMahon McMonth, and we sit here, we talk about how evil Vince McMahon is as a human being. You know, God fears him, and the devil owes him rent and such. So it just right now it's up in the air, given everything that's happened. With his, with the latest bad things, and it's not a matter of like, the lines. It's one of those things of, if the line was going to be drawn on talking about Vince McMahon at all, it would have been, Vince McMahon. We've talked about this with Dan and Soapy. Like, Vince McMahon might be one of the only uncancelable persons. I mean, look, the guy, since this news he's been on TV twice, and it has been like significantly raised the ratings of his program. So, the man is the evilest of evils. So I figuring out how we do McMahon McMonth without like inadvertently celebrating him, inadvertently, glossing over the issues. So that's the programming note. But I'm hopeful I can figure it out. I'm a creative enough guy. I might figure it out how to be able to do the plan, but not do the plan in a way that ignores a lot of stuff, which it doesn't ignore. We talk about how terrible this dude is, anyways. Maybe I'll figure it out. But yeah, it's Dork Side of the Ring. That's a month from now. Thank you guys for checking out this week and listening to me ramble my thoughts on some programming stuff. Appreciate it. Be back next week. Myself, Gerp123 returns a full year after his being in one of the first ever episode, and bringing over our friend Schmoogoogle for Mr. America topic of du jour. Thank you guys. I am Grumm. I hope you have a splendid rest of your week. Remember not to take wrestling serious, because wrestling is better. Wrestling is at its best. It's not just better. It's at its best when no one is taking it serious. I am Grumm. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys here next week on the Dork Side of the Ring podcast.